This is a podcast from the Queen City Podcast Network.
Welcome to Nerd School.
Welcome to Nerd School, where history meets the nerdy cool. Artstar, TBJ, Joe and Andy, we're the ones to rule. Teaching you about comic books, superheroes, and Star Wars. Bringing knowledge and fun, breaking down those nerdish doors. Nerd School, history for nerds. Taking you on a journey to the nerdverse. From Marvel to DC, our lessons never cease. Get ready to geek out, join us in release. Join us in release.
My name's Wreck-It Ralph.
I'm gonna wreck it!
30 years I've been doing this.
I can fix it!
It's hard to love your job when no one else seems to like you for doing it.
You're just the bad guy who wrecks the building.
Well, there are two nerddoms here, Joe, that we are talking about that you don't rightfully understand are nerddoms.
Yeah.
So, one, welcome everyone to Tiffany's pick, which is Wreck-It Ralph.
Yes.
The two nerddoms that you don't think are nerddoms is Disney.
Okay.
And I think you kind of get that gaming is a nerddom, but you don't get all the different levels of gaming as you're learning about art's interest in gaming.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's just almost exactly it. Like, I grew up with video games, Atari as a kid, Pong even. I think we had when we were real little. In television, Nintendo, PlayStation, PS2, as it went through the Sega Genesis and all that. And so that's definitely a nerddom for sure, no doubt about it. And then there's this sports intersection. Some people just play Madden games, and some people play the whatever, and it's become Fortnite and what's the Minecraft and all that. And so yeah, for sure. But then the Disney thing, for a long time, my eyes opened when I started the Nerdy Night series, and there were people pitching to me, we should do a Nerdy Night on.
But I've been
Disney.
telling you this.
Yeah, and then you've been saying it, but
the thing.
Yeah, other people have said like there's a whole thing, and then I've met at work where there's so many different people.
We work with a lot of Disney adults.
Yeah, hardcore Disney adults.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I love it. But it is a nerddom onto itself. You're not seeing your favorite jock is not going to Disney for the fun of it multiple times a year. Or watching all the movies that come out even when they don't have children, etc. It is its own world. And so Wreck-It Ralph takes us into that world. So we get 2 doses of nerdiness in one animated movie.
Yeah, so this is I don't know that I was aware that this is a Disney. Like, what's the difference between like a Disney film and like, I don't know, Pixar, or is Pixar part of Disney? I don't even know.
It's the company, Disney Animation Studios and Pixar Studios. Are there Pixar movies under Disney flagship? Yes. It's the studios. That's all it is.
But they're okay, so those are not synonymous necessarily, but they also can be.
No, there are Pixar movies that are not under the Disney umbrella.
Would you say there's a difference? Like if it's a Pixar movie?
Back in the day, not so much anymore. Pixar is top notch. And so I think when they first came out, the way that they were going, you could see the difference. But now everybody's kind of on the same level with animation.
You think everybody's
and storytelling?
So you're saying originally the animation was better with Pixar than just a regular old Disney.
It was a toss between the animation and storytelling. Pixar put a lot of weight into storytelling with newer animation.
Okay.
But now everybody's there, right? Disney Animation Studio is there. Other companies are there. I think Pixar was ahead of the trend.
Illumination.
Yep.
So I think there's a lot of people that just put it all into, it's a cartoon movie that's welcome to kids, that's a Disney. But is there any elements of a Disney movie that you guys see or know that set it apart from just any old animated movie? Or is
think it's the storytelling aspects in the last few years. Okay. And I think if you are open-minded, there are a lot of adults going out to plenty of new release Disney films, understanding that it's not just for kids. Like when I went the last few Disney movies I went to see, I took no children. It was me.
Yeah. You wanted to see them. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
yeah.
me going to see them.
I feel like I generally haven't done that. When I go to these movies, I take my kids, and then I'm sort of like, it's kind of like Bugs Bunny. Like you're pleasantly surprised, like, oh my gosh, there's a lot that I enjoyed, not just watching dumb crap my kids like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I really like this. I have a buddy who he can't wait for like he drags his kids almost before they even want to go because he can't wait for the movie,
Yeah,
even
they're
more than their
so
kids. Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your buddies, my friends.
Yeah. That's
Do you
true.
want my quick I'm not gonna say 60 seconds, but darn near quick synopsis of the movie before we
Yeah.
describe it?
Yeah, I like that I like that we don't pigeonhole you into a certain time because I noticed last time we all kept interjecting because we want to say stuff and that kind of messed up your time flow. But
It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't have to be 60 seconds. It's just a quick synopsis, rapid fire.
Yeah.
Ready?
TBJ's rapid fire synopsis.
All right. Ready?
I'm ready.
Go. Go. All right. So there's this dude named Ralph. Ralph lives in a world where he is supposed to be the bad guy all the time. But he's going through like a quarter life crisis where he's like, why am I always the bad guy? Why don't I get to go to the parties? This is dumb.
Water.
I hate it here. So he goes to his group therapy meeting. Yay for therapy. He goes with all the other bad guys, and they're all talking about their woes of being a bad guy. And most of them have embraced it. But Ralph is like, I don't want to be the bad guy anymore. He goes to the bar, he's drinking, he's trying to figure out how he can be a better person. Nobody really has answers. He comes home back to his hood and his game, and he realizes everybody's having a party and no one includes him. When the game is over, everybody's like, bump you, we're going about our business. That's the other thing you should know. This is set in an arcade. There are different games, and as everyone leaves, all the characters in the game live their lives off screen. Ralph unfortunately lives in a dump, a literal dump. He's in the dump yard of his gang, which is not cute to whoever decided that for his life. So he learns, I'm gonna be a good guy. This is what I need to be a good guy. I need a medal. I'm gonna go find a medal. Now, as he's going to go do this, I want to note the people in his gangs were punks. Gene, the little guy, he was a punk, okay? And he didn't redeem himself. So I'm gonna point that out now. So Ralph goes on a mission. He's like, I need my own gold medal so I can show these fools that I am not just a bad guy. I am a complex individual. He runs into another game guy. This guy's in this like war crazy futuristic outfit. And he is like having a mental breakdown of his own because he's tired of fighting bugs in his game. He mentions he wins something. Ralph's like, bet, stealing your identity. He steals his identity. He goes into this game. This game is crazy. We're at war. These are not regular bugs. Okay. These are crazy cyber bugs. So they go to war. He's in a platoon of people. It's like the army. He is a little not there because he's never been in this game before. But the game ends. The leader of the pack is like, yo, dummy, don't mess up this game. This is how we have to play it. He doesn't care. He's like, I'm gonna get that damn gold medal. So when everybody's going back to reset, what does Ralph do? Unfortunately, guided by his own bad feelings, he goes after this gold medal. He goes into this hive of all these bugs, and he wakes them all up when he gets his medal. And it's like pure chaos. Now, in the meantime, before we get here, back in Wreck-It Ralph's world, they start the game and somebody's going to play it, but there's no Ralph. And then his homies, this is when they should be enlightened that they need him, but they're not because they're all punks. So everybody's like, oh, Ralph ruined it for us all. We don't know what to do. There's an out of order sign. Dumb Ralph. Again, I wanted to punch all of them, but I'm going to leave that for another discussion. So Felix, who is Fix It Felix, is like, all right, he's the hero of the game. I'm going to fix it and find Ralph. It's my job to clean up his mistakes. Now, Felix can almost get it as far as me punching him, but he has some redeemable qualities. So he goes off to this weird army world. He meets the leader of the army. He's like, she is cute. So together they try and go fix Ralph's mess. It doesn't happen. Ralph is in an escape pod. His escape pod leaves that game, goes into the game of Sugar Rush. Sugar Rush is like Candyland, but for gamers, okay? So all the sweet treats everywhere, and you got to win a race to get there. Ralph loses his little aircraft, loses his medal, and the bug, we think it dies, but we learn later it does not die. Ralph tries to get it. He runs into this little girl, Vanellope. She's a little glitchy. She's a smart ass. She's a little sassy. I like it. She reminds me of someone I know. So she gets the medal, and she's not stealing it just for medal's sake. She's trying to get in this race, man, okay? Her entire life is also beating the odds. So they should be friends off the bat, but they're not really, because, you know, when two people come together not understanding each other, it's a battle. So she turns the coin in. She's going to race. Everybody in Sugar Rush is like, oh, no, this girl can't race. We can't allow it. We don't know why. They say it's because she's a glitch. They're a bunch of mean girls, even though they're supposed to be in Candyland. And then they're ruled by this dictator who comes off as sweet, but it's a lie because he's a dictator. So after she gets like put out the race, Ralph comes up from the trenches, scares everybody else. The king traps Ralph. Penelope runs away, and then they figure some stuff out. I was like, Ralph, you got to go back. You can't be here, whatever. King's like, this is my land. She can't get in the race. He goes off, he's minding his business, and then he comes across the hill where Penelope is. The mean girls approach her. It's like, oops, I broke your car, which they could all get punched, but they're children, so I'm gonna let that be. We fast forward, they bond together, Ralph and Penelope. They come together because they realize they both are outcasts in their own games, damn it, and people do not understand their struggle. So they come together, they build a car, they go get Penelope in this race together. Everybody in Sugarland is like, no, can't do this. And they try and tear them apart at every step. Somewhere here, we're learning the history of another game. There was another dude in a racing game who was badass, but he got put out of his game and he floated around. We don't know where he is, but if you're paying attention, you know where he is. But we're not supposed to know where he is at this point. So we get there, everything's lit. Vanellope's got a new friend. Her and Ralph love each other so much. Fix-It Felix got him a boo thing. Everything feels great, okay? Other than the people at Ralph's home game are worried about being shut down. But at this point, I don't care about them. You shouldn't either. So we get ready. We're going to go to the race. The dictator is like, yo, Ralph, you can't let her enter the race. And he gives him a sob story why he can't let her into the race. It breaks Ralph's heart, but he's like, oh, I got to stop her. So he stops her by being a bad guy. Not the bad guy he wants to be, but he thinks he's doing it for her own good. We learn, though, now Felix is here with his boo thing, and we learn that those bugs, they will breed and breed and breed and breed and destroy a whole world. And once you die in somebody else's game, you don't come back in your own game. So that's kind of hit on a few times in this show. So they get there. Felix, unfortunately, gets trapped in the dictator's dungeon, which is like instantaneous. He didn't even have a chance to be the hero. He's always the hero, so he doesn't really need it. Ralph goes back. He's sad at what he did to Vanellope, but he learns something when he goes back to his game. He sees Vanellope's face on her game. He's like, wait a minute. If she's not supposed to win the race and be the champion, why she got all the publicity? Why is she on the promo shots, right? So then he goes back. He's going to do right. He's going to rescue her. But when he gets there, he learns that Felix is there too. He's like, what? And he learns from the dictator's sidekick that she's not a glitch because she was born that way. She's a glitch because the dictator did some stuff and tried to rewrite some code. He doesn't know why. He ain't got no memory. Ralph comes to the rescue. He saves everybody. He puts her in the race. They're racing. Everyone thinks if she can get to the finish line, we're good. At this point, I do have to note that Felix's girlfriend got really mad at him because he said something that brought up her PTSD. She's working on herself. We'll get better later. They go in the race. She overtaking everybody. The dictator's in the lead. She catches up to the dictator, but that's when we find out that old dude from the other game that was like the racing champion is indeed the bad guy. And he won't let her win because if she wins, the game resets and it goes back to the way it's supposed to be. We know he's messed up the code and everything. So as they're all racing and she takes the lead, what happens? Those damn bugs are everywhere. They are taking over everything, and she cannot win the race because they got to escape. Everybody tries to get out of there. We learn, in fact, she cannot leave the game. So he's like, what can I do? She's like, just leave. It's an emotional moment. Felix and his girlfriend are fighting off the bugs. Everybody else is escaping. But then Ralph has a great idea. He knows the bugs need a light. If they get a light source, they're great. So he's going to go break down the Mentos and the Coke and make a beam of light. He gets distracted. The dictator is there. He's a bug now. It's weird. Whatever. We get over it. There's a few moments where it looks like Ralph might not make it, or he's willing to sacrifice himself, but he doesn't have to. Vanellope saves him this time. They make the ray of light. The bugs come in, zoom, zap, zap. She goes to finish her race after Felix fixes everything. And what do you know? Homegirl was in charge of everything all along.
Homegirl.
Ralph goes back to his world. He is okay with being the bad guy in his game during his work hours, but people are treating him a little better. I still haven't forgiven Gene and the homies, but Ralph has, so I guess that's okay. Everybody's games are back on their own. Fix It Felix gets married to his boo thing. Life is good. Ralph is back in his support group. All is well.
All right. And there you have the TBJ speed
Speed
through.
through.
Yeah, speed through. Now, I notice it gets quite a bit longer when you actually like the movie as opposed to making fun of how shitty it is.
Well, you know, this movie had a lot of feelings. A lot of
Yeah.
feelings. A lot of feelings. And like I said, the characters in Ralph's world, I still haven't forgiven. Because they didn't actually apologize.
Yeah, it was really good. Now, there's a sequel to this, right? Have you guys seen the
Yes.
sequel?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone? Is it good? Is it as good? Can't be as
It's
good.
good.
I mean, this was really good. And I had seen this before in the theater with my kids, and I had almost zero memory of it, which is why I'm starting to think I have CTE. I don't think it's just being an idiot. Like, I must have CTE because this was really good.
Did you
Don't
notice any of the
underestimate the power of
cameos?
What's that?
Did you notice any of the cameos in the movie?
Of like
Q-Bert
Q-Bert and stuff like that?
Yeah, Q-Bert, Sonic, Zangief.
But a lot of those I
The high score in the game is
Yeah, a lot
Walt
of
Disney's
nostalgia.
birthday. So it's
the high score.
Did
Say
they
it
ever
again?
show a list of high scores and someone was named ASS?
It's always
Because
ass. Yeah, we always put ass.
Yeah.
I mean, but who doesn't put random dumb names if you're the high scorer?
That's true. I love Q-Bert being in there. Dig Dug. I saw Dig Dug at one point. And I kept pausing it, like in the subway station when they say between the video games. I love how they put the video games all come through a surge protector and they all interact with each other. That's my favorite thing about anything is random characters interacting together. Like, I would love to live on a sitcom world where there's a Cheers and there's a
of course you would.
Night Court and
Of course you would.
whatever. You can go
Do
in all
you
the
just when the camera's off, you go?
Like there's a
with it?
central hub. They're
Yeah.
just
the police
sitting
department
in
is
the bar.
Barney Miller. Like
They're all sitting. The
Yeah.
people from Cheers and Barney Miller are all sitting in a bar.
yes, yeah, all of it. Or like, yeah, you go. I mean, all the things mixed together. That's my favorite thing. So when they all come together, it was so fun for me. So I paused a couple times, like, oh, who's that? What's that? Oh, there's Dig Dug right there. Walk by, and there's this, and there's that, and there's a lot of characters I didn't know that I'm sure Art would know from like. And I was just looking at the trivia on IMDb where there's like, oh, all these characters from World of Warcraft were on there, and all these guys from Final Fantasy whatever were in there, and this is reference to this. A lot I didn't know, but I still enjoyed all the ones that I did know.
Did you know the simplest reference?
Is it just Ralph is like Donkey Kong, basically?
Okay, I don't want to say if you were smart enough to know that.
Well, I
Because
explained to my kids. I was like, he's
why is
basically
he dirty
Donkey.
enough to know that?
Yeah, this is basically Donkey
I wasn't
Kong.
gonna say you weren't smart enough to know it.
But another connection, I got to say this too. Another connection to my friend we talked about the last. I don't know why we talked about it. Oh, I guess because the Hallmark movie. My friend Brian, who was in that Hallmark movie, also is really good friends with the guy who plays Fix It Felix.
Jack McBrayer.
Jack McBrayer. They worked together at Borders Books in Chicago years ago.
Oh wow, small world.
Way before he was famous. Yeah. So another connection to Big Mac Brian McCartney, who listened to our episode because I told him, hey, we talked about you and the Hallmark thing. And he reached out to me, he corrected me several days. Like, Mario Lopez and I aren't really friends, but he said we did. But he sent me a video where he's hugging him. Like Mario Lopez.
Yeah, but
when
did
they
you
rap,
tell him we also talk about you and Don Cheeto and we know the truth, so it's okay.
yeah, I explained to him like I really am not. I didn't even talk to Don Cheadle, but in his thing, he acted with Mario Lopez, and I saw a video of Mario Lopez saying, "Hey, everybody, it's a wrap, and let's hear it for the greatest Santa Claus ever, Brian." And he knows him, and he walked over and hugged him. I mean, clearly they know each other, but he said,
Yeah, although he's probably forgotten by this point.
Well, his wife, Mario Lopez's wife, did text him that video. So, I mean,
Oh,
if you're
Well, there
texting
you
with
go.
if you're texting with Mario Lopez's wife, that's a lot closer than me saying Don Cheadle's the playoff guy and him rolling his eyes at me. So, but back to Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah, Donkey Kong. It's just like Donkey Kong. All the people. I don't know. I was trying to think like halfway through the movie. I was like, oh, I guess the thing is know your role and just like be happy with your role and all that. And
Well,
then
no, that's not the thing. That's
it's
the
not.
original.
Yeah,
The original thing is just accept who you are and be with it. The the overall thing is we all have our roles to play, but we are not our roles only. We are multiple things. And so while we might have a role in one part of our life, that is not who we are wholeheartedly.
right. I love how much Q-Bert was in it, and I wanted to play Q-Bert really bad after watching it. I loved playing Q-Bert. Oh, I loved Q-Bert. Dig Dug, I love that too. Anyway, great movie. And again, like back to when I saw it in 2012. So 2012 was when I moved to Charlotte, and I know for a fact that I told my kids this. I was like, I took you guys to see this by myself without anybody else because we had just moved to Charlotte. We were living with my in-laws temporarily. We did that for a year. My in-laws weren't used to kids, and they were driving them nuts. And they so on Saturdays or Sundays, when I was home, whenever I didn't have a day where I worked, because I worked a lot of evenings, I work where we all work, and when I was off, I would just take them all day, and we go to like playground to playground to playground. I go to a movie. I would get them out of the house as soon as I could and bring them home as late as I could because they were driving everybody else nuts. That's their kids, and they're always used to it. And so I was exhausted. My kids were like 3 and 7 or 3 and 6. And so I'm sure I took my daughter to the bathroom 3 times during this movie and my son once and got them snacks and all this because I gave them whatever they wanted just to keep them busy. But I don't remember any of the movie. None of it. I didn't remember any of it.
We do need to get your head scanned since you
Yeah. I mean, I did play high school football and I saw stars a lot of times. I would get the shit kicked out of me a lot. So,
it might be worth a little bit of a scan there.
yeah. Yeah, maybe I can get some.
No, I loved it. I'm gonna know that I am a fan of John C. Reilly. Hopefully nothing ever comes out bad about him. I'm a huge fan of him. So if you tell me there was a movie where he was voicing the lead or is the lead, I'm in. Always.
How do you feel about Dr. Steve Brule?
I'm not gonna say everything's a winner. I'm just gonna say
I love
love
Dr.
that.
Steve Brule. It's
We
so
all love
dumb.
that.
It's so dumb.
Yeah, you know how I feel on dumb things. But that man is someone I will support because here's the thing. He is a comedian, clearly. He does comedy, but when he is not doing comedy, it's some of my favorite things. Like when he's in Chicago as the unseen husband and he sings Mr. Cellophane. Take my heart, John C. Reilly. But then on the flip side, we're in Talladega Nights, and I'm like, yes, my friend, I love you.
Shake and bake. Yeah, he is great. He is a great actor, and the fact that he can go from super stupid to tear jerking.
Right? Think about it. This is the same dude on Step Brothers. Like, did we just become best friends? He can also make you cry.
That's right. I mean, I think it would be hard for Will Ferrell to make me cry, but
well, I will say there is one movie, is it Stranger Than Fiction, where Will Ferrell is a bit serious, and I'm like, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think I saw
He's
that
pretty
one.
good in Downhill too. Have you guys seen that?
I don't think I have.
Is that the one where he's like selling all his stuff in his yard or something? He's having a nervous breakdown.
That's Stranger Than
That's
Fiction.
Stranger Than Fiction. Downhill is the one where he's having like marital trouble and I want to say they're in Reykjavik or somewhere, and they're like on a ski trip, and it's kind of serious.
Oh, the one with Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
actually kind of about just them getting divorced, basically.
right.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that one.
I've not seen it, but it's the same concept. Like they are two actors who are very good at being goofball to high hell, but
Mhm.
also tackling. And I don't think I've ever watched John C. Riley and be like, stop. Well, maybe for a second, but not long term.
Along those lines, I love Jane Lynch as the badass sci-fi warrior.
Yeah.
Sarah
It's a good
Silverman,
cast all
yeah,
around.
yeah, it does an
Sarah Silverman's
incredibly
great.
adorable
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah.
Alan Tudyk as King Candy, doing the whole oh,
Yeah.
I love the candy.
Aha! You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? Aha! You hit a guy with glasses. That's well played.
I love that's like Looney Tunes, and I just looked up where that kind of comes from. That whole thing that you'll see, like monkeys is the craziest peoples, which
Yeah.
is very Looney Tunes. It's apparently this vaudevillian dude named Lou Lair who what used to do radio appearances, and he had a popular catchphrase saying "monkeys is the craziest peoples," and he looks just like an old Looney Tunes character. And he's
I
got
guess it's supposed to be like the Mad Hatter too in Alice in Wonderland.
it could
Yeah,
be.
Like that guy.
yeah.
According
No,
to
it
the
was
trailer.
like this whole cast are really good
And
voice actors, one, but two, the roles they play make so much sense for who they are.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
The donut shaped police were were great.
Everything when they go get the devil dogs, they're like, get
Oh,
the
the
devil
devils.
dogs on him.
Oh, the devil dogs were fabulous. Yeah. Uh
I
yeah. So many.
I
Yeah.
love it. I think you all know my opinions on said film. Obviously,
Yeah.
it is a love for me. I will note that I am not a big video game person. I don't actually love video games. I grew up with games in the house back from the original Atari.
Uh-huh.
I've had them in my household my whole life, but I've not been big on actually playing them.
Okay.
So that's not the aspect that gets it from me. It's just you can any good storyline, I'm in, animated or not.
Yeah,
I'm
it's got a
sold.
great moral. It's the animation's done really well. It's a fun story. I gotta say, I couldn't believe how many turns the story took. Like, I was expecting it to be, I mean, even like a third of the way through, I was like, oh, I know how this is I know what's gonna happen. Obviously, we all know what's gonna happen and the way it's gonna end. But it really took a bunch of turns to get there, And then it was like, okay, maybe that's not what's gonna happen. Oh, the race is, wait, what? Now what happens? And now all these aliens are coming. And I think it was really nice in that it wasn't just, boom, 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 the old story we're going to hear. It was like really well put together, a mixing of genres and all this stuff. So, and if you grew up in an arcade, like a lot of people our age did, there's a lot of nostalgia there. It's just like remembering all the different types of games, the different types of kids that would go in. Like some people just played the racing games, and some people just played these. And I just remember our parents, Andy and I's parents, dropping us off just at the arcade. Here's a bunch of quarters. Go have fun. I don't know how long we were
Have fun.
there, but we just ran to the arcade. Like we were at the mall. I guess they just dropped us off at the mall. We just went right to the arcade. Spent our entire time playing there. Like I remember, like strategizing about what we're gonna do in Double Dragon together. Like Andy and I went, okay, I got this many quarters, you got this many quarters, and you don't put yours in until my guy's almost dead, and then we'll like we wanted to figure out how to finish Double Dragon. Like we would we would strategize about it. We couldn't wait. Oh my god, look how far we got! Holy shit,
yeah.
So that just brought back a lot of that, just that feeling of being there and that referee. I guess that referee guy, that the manager of the arcade, is based on a real famous arcade manager guy. I was just reading on trivia on IMDb.
That was Ed O'Neill, wasn't it? I think he did the voice.
Oh,
Yeah.
was it? Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't catch that. The guy with the referee shirt.
the
Yeah,
guy
the
who
owner of the
owned the
arcade.
arcade.
Oh, let's see if I can find that.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, yeah, I didn't know that, but I'm trying to. Oh, the arcade owner character, Mr. Litwalk, wears a referee shirt as a reference to a real life personality, Walter Day, owner of the Twin Galaxies Arcade in Autumna, Iowa. He's best known for appearing in the arcade documentaries Chasing Ghosts Beyond the Arcade, The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters, and his own documentary, Walter Day, Twin Galaxies and the Two Golden Domes. That's kind of funny. Like, I didn't know any of that existed.
And it also reminded me
I
of Blip from Blip's Arcade, and you can't do that on television.
Oh, yeah. All right. Sure.
One of the many Les Lie characters.
I don't know if you noticed, there's a little bit of what's happening in the arcade, a little bit mirroring some of when you got the one girl we see all the time when she tries to play Sugar Rush and the mean girl shut her out.
Yeah.
When she tries to play the other game, it doesn't go well, and she's the one that ends up making Wreck-It Ralph a thing. I love that because we're also watching her literally trying to find her place in the arcade.
Yeah.
While the characters in the games are on a journey to find their place in the world.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote this.
Yeah. A whole nother layer there. Yeah.
There is. And I do love, I mean, arcades are coming, they've never left, but they are coming back in a sense that there are arcades for adults now that aren't just Dave and Buster's that are popping up in cities where you can go get a little bit of nostalgia. Like,
Sure.
I will go play Pac-Man in a second. That's probably the only game I can play at the arcade well, or the one where you sit and drive.
Yeah.
I see writers or arcades everywhere, and so much so that I feel like they must be like a front for some, like money laundering front, because there can't be that many successful arcades.
No,
Well,
some
a lot
of
of
those signs that say arcades are not real arcades.
But then it's
What
also
are they?
it's the rebirth of like the retro gaming culture because you have older people. Like gaming is kind gaming is like nerdom, right? Where like it's always been there, but it was kind of underground, and then it just had this explosion of like, oh, I'm a gamer. Like I was telling where we work at, our new CFO in their bio where they said what would they probably be doing on the weekends, they said playing Fortnite.
What?
Right? Yeah. So it's like it's one of those things where it's like now because of that, you have like a lot of these places, you can go in there, you can play maybe your Atari, your NESs, your Nintendo 64s, your your pinball, like some of the newer arcade things. So it's like it's something for everyone, but then there's also like that nostalgia where it's like now, like, okay, gaming has always been cool to people who play games, but now to everyone, it's like, okay, gaming is getting kind of cool, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have like games like Madden, MLB The Show. They have tournaments. They're like, and TBJ earlier, she said something about how some of your favorite jocks, they're not name dropping certain things, but some of these famous jocks,
Some are, yes.
yes. Like I mean, MLB The Show does this thing called Real 99. So basically, any MLB player or MILB player who plays the game, they have a card in the game, but that card says Real 99. So like, let's say if you're online and you're playing against Blake Snell, who starting pitcher for the San Francisco Giants, if you're playing against him and you're playing with someone who's using Blake Snell, they'll have Blake Snell's Topps card. But if you're playing against the actual Blake Snell, his card will say Real 99. So you're playing against a major leaguer. Or like there's, Madden tournaments where people are winning like $350,000.
Yeah, it's a whole industry now. Yeah.
Right. So now because of that, you have like, these little arcades, little spots where it's like, oh well, little Joey back in the day, he left the Spencer Quarters or Double Dragon with his brother Andy. And now they're almost 50, but they still like playing these games. So let's create a spot for them where they can drink some liquor and play some Double Dragon.
Well, yeah, because that's what we like to do now. We drown out our sorrows and escape reality by drinking, and we want to go to watch that. Everything's such nostalgia. It's like why a lot of the, the 80s and 90s nights do well, 80s and 90s trivia and stuff like that. but something you said is about talking about people making video games a career, which is why and we'll arrange this. I'm working on arranging an interview with a guy from the Charlotte Gamers Network, which is a whole inclusive group. Gamers is spelled GAY. It's an LGBTQ friendly group, but also they do a lot of um uh I guess securing uh uh scholarships for kids to play esports. And they have a whole Charlotte has an esports team. Um, I think they're called the Charlotte Phoenix or something. And these guys kind of help the kids get somewhere and get on this team and get scholarships out of it to go to school for video games. How fucking cool is that? So we're gonna do a side episode, a nerdy 30, with Jonathan from the Gamers Network soon. And I think we'll figure out who can be on that and such, but watch out for that. But that's something cool. But back to something Andy said. Andy was asking, well, what are these things that say they're arcades? And Tiffany's like, they're not all video games. Like there's a whole like seedy underbelly of like gambling, right? TBJ, that's
Yeah,
happening.
that's what they are. They name them arcade, so it's gambling
They
holes.
call I know like in the South,
just
like
like
they
cards
call them,
and like
they call them fish houses.
Yeah, Fish House, that's what made me look it up. They were like, Fish House gets busted. I was like, what is this in Charlotte? Like
One time I went to a Domino's to pick up pizza, and there's one of them next to it, and there was like a bouncer at the door, and I was like, now I know you don't have anything good happening inside here if there's a bouncer at the door for what's supposed to be a gaming spot. But we have, what is it, Akbari?
Akbari Game Bar.
There's a bar.
I've been there before, and I haven't been to their new location, but I remember going there, and they had to do a thing where they get around, I guess, Sunday liquor laws or something. I don't know what it is, but like they make you become a member. Technically, you just pay $1 to become a member, so they can, I guess, serve you beer whenever or something like that. But they were great. They had this Popeye arcade game that
I used to love
wanted to play all the time. Yeah,
I used to love that game.
Maybe we need a field trip to Abari, guys.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. I'm getting excited just talking about it. But so, do you guys know Abari? Is that the one where you have to buy the quarters, or is that one where all the games are free? Like some of them, I think all the games are free, and you just, as long as you're drinking, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure.
I think Abari, the one time I was there, I think I had to go get like a bucket of quarters.
Yeah, I did.
You buy quarters, yeah. Because that's
but
part
it was
of the
still
fun.
I mean, it was fun to hang out and just like I've been to Abari and I've been to one in Savannah. A little bigger but very similar, where you just grab your drink and you're walking around, and if you want to hop on a game, you want to Dance Revolution, go for it. Don't spill your beer.
DDR.
You want to play a little Pac-Man? Do you want to shoot somebody with a rifle? It's all in there.
Yeah, I think
love shooting people with a rifle.
Yeah, right, without hurting anyone. Yeah, and that's what I think. I found that there was one in Nashville a few years back where I went for 50th birthday party. But what I found was, once we got to that bar, like we went bar, hey, we're all hanging out at a bar. Now we go to another bar, hey, we're all hanging out at a bar. Then we got to the arcade bar, and it was like I instantly lost everybody, got lost in some game, was really into it, and then I poked my head up after like 3 games in a row. I'm like, oh shit, I'm still at a birthday party. I'm at a pub crawl. I forgot I was in the video game so bad that I couldn't, like, it took me, I was like, shit, did everybody else leave? And I finally found everybody was in a different game and they were engrossed in their game. And it's just like a thing where it's neat that we did not lose each other, but I could easily see that I could have came back to reality and everybody's gone. I'm like, oh fuck. Because it's that much of a brain suck, I guess. But there's a thing about it, man. It's a cool thing. It's nostalgic, and it's something like older generation doesn't get. I think about our generation, they're like, what's with these kids and their video games? And then the younger generation, I think theirs are so much more fancy than what we've ever had. So it's like we're in this middle zone where we're.
I mean, I have Dig Dug on my Xbox. Yeah. I've got like a Pac-Man museum game where it's got all the different Pac-Mans, including the one based on the cartoon from the 80s.
Love that cartoon.
There's a Namco thing you can get.
Yeah, I think I got that one.
I have like a couple of them from my Nintendo. Yeah.
I always liked playing Rampage because you just
I
walk
have
around, beat
like
stuff up.
the other ones like what's it called? Capcom Stadium, where you buy like the base game, but it could like maybe like $1.99 every so often. You can also add other games to it. So like it's
Mhm.
almost like you brought the arcade experience home because you can play like Strider from the arcade or Legendary Wings or
I
1943
want
or
to play
something
video
like that.
games. I want to play video games now. You jerks.
Yeah, I had this little thing
Sure.
I got for Christmas a few years ago. This little handheld thing that had like 100 different video games on it. Like it was like Game Boy sized.
Yeah.
The only one I even recognized was Burger Time, and that's the only one I ever played.
Burger
But there was
time.
100 other
Yeah,
games.
there are plenty of those now where they evolved beyond with those things. Like you can get like ones where you can actually, if you have Game Boy cartridge, stick the Game Boy cartridge in the back of it, but then you can also load. And you shouldn't do this. You should always pay for your games, but you can also load ROMs where it's like you could be, playing some game that technically you shouldn't be able to play handheld without a Game Boy or a Game Gear or PS Vita. But then they all play it, but they're cheap too, like $100 you can get these systems,
And
and they're
does it
crafted
have
well.
like current stuff on it? Is this illegal that you're talking
Yeah,
about?
it's no. Here's the
Oh,
thing, and that's a big thing right now in the gaming world is emulation. Like Nintendo is the Andy like saying Nazi a lot. Nintendo is like the Nazis of the gaming world. It's like
Or dictators. Let's
if
say
if
dictators.
they
yeah, I was gonna
sniff
say, like, who are they
if if they
killing? Like,
sniff that you're doing something wrong, right? They will
yeah,
immediately like take it down. Take it down. We want like this. There's this guy who created these mods and Steam. It's been like over 20 years. 20 years. And Nintendo, because a lot of these companies have been making like emulators so you can play uh GameCube and Switch games on your phone, on your tablets, on your computers. They start shutting down the emulators. Then it's like, you know what? We're gonna start shutting down anyone who's doing anything to our IP. So this dude had like over 20 years of mods, and Nintendo like they're like, oh, if anything even closely resemble any of our games, you have to take it down. Cease and desist. And like Nintendo is a big company. If you're a small developer going against this multi-gajillionaire company, you have to oblige, not oblige,
abide. The dude
abide.
abides.
But so this dude, he's actually having to go through, and he's been telling people like, okay, a lot of the games that you have, they're going to change because they have to go through 20 years. It's going to take some time, but then like if you can delete the stuff from like, so he's asking people if they can delete the mods that they have, so that kind of helps him get rid of all this 20 years of stuff that he's done.
Huh.
But it's like one of those things where it's like, let's say for instance, like how Andy has Avengers, right? For Xbox, right?
Yeah, Marvel
If
You do?
Avengers.
Andy,
Yeah,
yeah, so Andy had software, or if he knew what he was doing, he could take his computer, rip Avengers from his disk, so then he can now have an Xbox emulator on his computer, and then he can run the Avengers from his computer. He owns the game. All he did was rip the ROM off the game that he already had and put it into this emulator to play it. He
Yeah.
did nothing illegal because he owned it. But just like with piracy, it's like there are certain people who will do that same thing and will share that across the internet.
Right.
And then that's when someone else who doesn't own it will sit there and they can do that on their system. That's like
Yeah.
some content creators, we sit there when they're talking about it, they'll say we don't condone this, pay the developers, yada yada yada, but this is how you can do this. Just recently, an emulator called Delta, because Apple's, being forced to open up their software. So this emulator called Delta is on the Apple app store right now where you can actually play Game Boy games on your iPhone if you know where to go to find the ROMs. It's perfectly okay to have the emulator, but it's one of those things where it's easy, like right now, like how like LimeWire type shit. Like right now, if you wanted to find Beyonce's album without having to pay for it, you can search the internet, and in a couple of minutes, you have Cowboy Carter. I don't want to say free of charge. You'll have Cowboy Carter illegally. You know what I'm saying? So it's out there. It's a whole. What kind of moral do you have? Like how is your conscience? Like, okay, I can do this, but should I? You know? And like I said, emulation is not a bad thing. It's just the some people who use it badly. If that makes any sense.
Okay. I was just thinking, like, is there something to do with like some of these things, like the old Nintendo NES we had doesn't exist anymore. So a lot of those games that you can't get it anywhere else. I always thought in my head, well, I can't get this anywhere else. I can't buy it anymore. They don't make it for Xbox or PlayStation. So it's okay for me to use as emulator. Is that not necessarily true?
You can no. It's not okay. It's not okay unless you own the game. If you own the game,
What if I owned it when I was in 7th grade? Does that count?
but can you produce
And get
it?
around the law.
I remember it's in my brain. Doesn't that count? I
If
threw
you
away
were
the
going
cartridge because it
lawsuit.
didn't work anymore.
Yeah, there's no workarounds.
But like,
Anyway.
there are like little, like there are companies who make adapters where you can like basically plug in like your old Nintendo cartridge and rip the ROM from it, and then like I say, upload it to your computer and play it that way. So
That
it's
seems
a
like
lot.
so much work.
It is, but if you're, it's like building your own PC. You can go buy a really good gaming PC for like $2,500, or you can build your own good gaming PC for about half that cost. And like, do I really want to do this, or do I want someone else to do it for me? So like, it's people out there who their whole, I don't want to say their whole life is based like it's something that makes them happy, so that's what they do. Even though it may seem like this is a tedious task to go through all of this and go through all of that. But it's this gaming world is whoa. You know what I'm saying? It is
Did you say
whoa.
swole?
It's whoa.
He said, whoa.
It's
No,
like,
it's
whoa,
whoa.
man.
I thought you were saying it's woke for a second.
No, just like whoa.
Uh,
Big and expansive and its own nerdverse on its own.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
it goes deep.
I mean, they
It
have
does.
like conventions, sort of like they have their own Comic Con. You have like PAX East, PAX
Yeah.
West.
Mhm.
There's GamesCon. They have
Yeah.
like their own award show in Britain. So it's like it's big.
Yeah,
It's huge.
it's big
Huge.
business.
Well, yeah. I think every day I
Business,
find
baby.
out another person is a gamer and whatever. And so I just put in the chat that Pilot Babu, who's just on the last episode of American Timelines, aka Hunter Brame, has a YouTube channel where he was a gamer. He was a streamer, a Twitch stream thing,
Streamer.
maybe? I don't
Yes,
know.
Twitch.
Is that a Twitch
Twitch is
stream? Is that a
what some of
thing?
them.
And
Twitch,
so
yeah.
I just
It's just Twitch. They stream on Twitch.
yeah. So no idea. So I think it's like I said, a lot of people do it. But I
And then
have
there's the
some.
whole thing. Like we play Marvel Snap, and Marvel Snap does this thing like every month or so where they do Twitch drops, which is
Yeah.
basically they drive traffic
Yeah.
to the people who play Marvel Snap, just who set up their computer and they'll play the game for like 3 hours straight. And then if you watch that entire 3 hours, then you get like some
Well, I
in-game
mean, they
prizes and shit.
they
And you
they
can just
like
put it on in the background. They're just
yeah,
driving
they're
traffic.
big in Twitch. Like Twitch is that universe that like it's a very expansive, and it's like that. There's like people who pop up on the front page who make buku money just basically streaming like Marvel Snap. There's this one dude who used to always stream Marvel Snap. He had like YouTubes about Marvel Snap. Now, whenever Second Dinner do like developer updates, this dude actually is in the video so their developer updates. His name was Cozy Snap. Like literally, like he like
Cozy Snap.
yeah, he's like right there alongside Second Dinner now because he's one of those people who, when it first came out, he was streaming it like crazy.
The Twitch is I'm so
It's
dumb.
basically like a separate program
It's like
that basically gives you a YouTube
for video
of
games.
video game nerds.
So it's a website, basically.
Yeah.
So there's a website to go to. It's not, and it has nothing to do with Switch and Twitch are not
Two different
related.
things.
And
Switch
Now,
Discord,
Switch
Nintendo
is
console.
a game handheld gaming, and a Twitch is just like a streaming channel. That's it, like a YouTube
Yeah.
channel.
So it's
for
on
And then
the
games.
Switch.
there's Steam, which is like a program that you can get where you download games and actually play games on Steam.
Steam, I understand because my son uses my Steam account because I got it before he was old enough, and now it's basically his Steam account because I barely know how to do it. But I get all the notifications when he buys a new game. I'm like, stop buying fucking games and give me money for your car insurance, you a-hole. You know, so but so he plays it a lot. He built a gaming PC and he plays. So I'm like, dude, if you're buying all this stuff and make some money and be a streamer. He's like, well, I'm not good enough in any of the games. I'm like, well, get good. Stop going to school.
Hey, get
Turn it
good.
into something.
Yeah. Stop going to school and pay more attention to video games.
Done.
Just kidding.
All right, I'm gonna bring us back to the movie. 'Cause
Okay, back to the
we
movie.
talked for 10 years. We're gonna talk.
Yeah.
10 more years.
Because I have some MCU questions at the end that I want to ask. So let's get back to the movie.
You're
first.
throwing some MCU questions into Wreck-It Ralph.
Well, because I'm talking to you guys and they're hot button questions.
Well, before you get to any hot bucket questions that are not
Yeah.
Wreck-It
Hey,
Ralph,
And just real quick, this is what I
maybe
was
we'll do it.
thinking.
Maybe we do a nerdy 30 later instead.
Well, this is what I was thinking. I was
Yeah.
thinking because I felt like this is a TBJ movie. We're gonna knock this out both because she's gonna keep us on task. She ain't
I'm
gonna let us
trying.
go off the rails. And then I was like,
well, video
so
games, something we don't
finish
talk
this,
about.
We finish this. We can do like a real quick thingamajig just in case we don't end up recording
yes.
next Monday.
Yeah, okay.
But then it could
Okay.
be like it'll be like a nerdy 30 because I don't think we'll watch Gojira before
No,
what's Charlotte. So
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to get that
So-
in. Yeah, so
that's
Okay.
the plan.
That's-
Cut this
okay,
few
cool.
minutes, but now before we close this out, everybody has to rate it.
Yep.
And our most random, not official rating scale because we don't all use the same damn scale.
yeah.
I think it was great. It's just a whole lot of fun and a whole lot of nostalgic glory, and it bridges the gap between modern video games and old video games without making either one of them any like value judgments. Except I guess occasionally it's like, what? When did video games get all scary and violent? But
Yeah.
they still it's still like a major character for modern video games, or the Jane Lynch character is
Yeah.
basically
Hero's
representing
Duty.
modern video games, Heroes Duty, Call of Duties, Call of Heroes, or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of poop jokes.
Yeah, but there's a lot of it's just a whole lot of fun, and just this very imaginative way to get everybody in the arcade interacting with each other, and it's a good time. Great performances. I'll give it a 140 out of 6.
And I love, to me, as a big kid, a self-proclaimed big kid, figuratively and literally. I love this movie just because of all the video game goodness, but then also because of it's one of those movies that like for someone like me, it's kind of calming and therapeutic.
Mhm.
And then just like the voice acting is great. I haven't even mentioned her, but she's going to be a part of my rating system. I give this movie 4.5 Sarah Silvermans out of 5 Sarah Silverman.
I love how you turn your rating system into.
Can I just say
That'll be the
that?
new
Can I
gimmick,
just
is
say
we
this?
make up new
Let me-
rating systems.
Let me just say this. Let me just say this. right? There are very few people who like. I like voice actors. I like voice actors. Like, and you all know how I feel about some people's voices, you know.
We do. Mm-hmm.
But Sarah Silverman's voice, like literally, sometimes God forgive me, literally sometimes when I cannot sleep at night, I'll be like, huh, I can listen to an audiobook. Yeah, I can listen to this. But you know what? I'm gonna listen to the Sarah Silverman podcast just because
Oh,
it's like listening to her talk is almost like it's very friendly, right? And
yeah.
comforting. So it's like I'm listening to what she's talking about, and it's just like it's almost like the whole I like in my brain. It's like I just want to say, "Sir, tell me a story."
As long as
Sarah
you're just
Silverman is your emotional support buddy.
so just be aware if you listen to her audiobook about how she used to be a bedwetter, that might not be the best thing you want to listen to before you go to sleep.
Because then you'll pee.
You might become a bedwetter.
Wow,
Just be
that's
aware
what
of
you
it.
took away from that. That's what you
No,
took
no,
away
no.
from
That's
that.
just no.
So, Art, let me
I
ask.
agree. Like her voice, she is so adorable in this movie. So like Vanellope's like the cutest thing in the world,
Mhm.
and,
Art,
and she has a lot to do with it.
did you ever find yourself because you fall asleep to her a lot on a podcast? Did you find yourself
Oh boy, here we
falling
go.
asleep
I
in the?
know.
No, it's not dirty. Like when you watch a movie, did you find yourself falling asleep because you're so used to that voice triggering?
No.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. And it's not the whole I'm falling like I need like, oh, you know how sometimes I can't fall, I can't sleep. Let me put on something to put
Yeah,
me to
me
sleep.
too.
It's not
Yeah,
that she's putting me to sleep.
She's soothing
I
you.
literally yeah, so
just
I'll set
relaxing you.
I'll set a sleep timer for like 30 minutes
Yeah.
and I'll fall asleep. I might fall asleep to it. Sometimes I end up finishing the whole episode because it's so good. But
Yeah.
like even if I do fall asleep, I'll go back later on and like let's say the next day, I'll queue up the one that I fell asleep on because I'm like, okay, I don't
Yeah.
want to
Because you don't want to miss it. Yeah.
episode. Right. So I'm gonna go back and sometimes I listen to like most of the episodes only like she can never do this podcast because her episodes usually like 40 minutes long. They like barely get it
She can
done.
do it, and maybe we'd actually get one knocked out in 40
Oh,
minutes.
snap.
Yeah, so I usually end up listening to some episodes like 3 and 4 times.
Art, what was your number of Sarah Silverman's again?
4.5 out of
Out of
5.
5?
Yeah.
All right,
No.
Joe, what's your rating before we go down to Sarah Silverman?
Well, I guess I have to rate it.
Half the
I have to rate it in Bob Newhart's because that's who I listen to fall asleep. No, I don't know. I give it 8 boners out of
God
out of 6 Bob
bless.
Newharts.
out of 6 grandmothers. No, I loved it. It was great. Yeah, like I said, I didn't remember it. I know I saw it before. Don't remember it being that good. It was awesome. I really enjoyed every moment of it. And again, I said to my daughter, I was like, she was like, why are you watching this? I said, TBJ picked this. She was like, TBJ always picks something good. Like my daughter remembers.
It's the truth.
So yeah, shout out. She's like, TBJ's always, she's on point. She is on point. I was like, it's great. And damn it, I
You need to
failed
step your
again.
game up, Joe.
Everything I picked Blackula was a failure.
I think you just pick things to piss me off, honestly.
Well,
I think that's your ego, Joe.
No, last time Blackula, I thought I can't lose because it's all about blaxploitation. It'll be a cool thing to talk about, and then it was bad. But
It was good talking points, bad move.
yeah, so this is great. I loved it.
Okay, well, I think we all know
Anyway.
how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's great. So we know you love it. How many Charles Nelson Rileys do you give it?
Gonna give it 10 rainbows out of 10 rainbows.
There you go.
Nice.
Wow.
And does
10
she have a
rainbows out of 10.
rainbow in the? I mean, I want to play Sugar Rush. I really want to play that game.
Yeah, that looks like a fun game.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
something I
standard
would
racer
play.
game.
Yeah, I can play racing games like nobody's
Well,
business.
Disney
I
has a game.
love it.
There's a Disney Speedstorm, which is a free game, and you can play.
What do you
as
have to
Disney
play it
character,
on?
Where do you play it?
Pretty much everywhere.
I Did they ever actually make like a Wreck-It Ralph game?
I don't
I
know.
don't remember.
They that seems like a huge missed opportunity if they had a whole
I'd be
video.
shocked if they didn't.
Fine, Felix Jr. Let's see.
Hold on, let's look. All right, so that's 3 out of 4 of our watches. We have Andy next. Andy, what's your movie again?
Gojira, the original Japanese
Gojira.
of like the 1954 Japanese introduction of Godzilla.
Gojira.
Okay.
Kawaii desu ne.
Yeah,
So
there's
we're
a
gonna
Wii.
round out.
It's a Wii game.
We're gonna
That makes
round
Yeah,
out.
Gojira. We'll
one
do
of
that, and then we'll get
these.
back to
Gojira.
Gojira.
Other
Gojira.
movies.
If you say it fast enough, Gojira. Gojira.
Gojira.
You can hear where Godzilla came from.
Gojira. No Ra. Gojira.
So
And Gojira is the Godzilla movies eventually got super cheesy and ridiculous, but the original, I mean, we can talk about it more when we watch it, but
Right.
just keep in mind that it is like less than a decade removed from Japan getting 2 nuclear bombs dropped on them
Good
in
to note.
1945.
the movie we're watching is an old.
Yeah,
It's
in
the original.
1954, the original Godzilla, Gojira, in Japan. This is a movie
And it's in
from
Japanese.
Japanese filmmakers that was made less than 10 years after Hiroshima and Nagasaki ended World War II.
So you're taking as vintage.
So we got to make sure we all watch the right one because there's like 9 million of them. I thought we were watching a more recent one.
If you put in Gojira, Gojira,
Yeah, that'll be the right one.
it's the 1954. Then there's the Godzilla King of the Monsters, which was the American recut of the original.
Right.
America recut it, kind of took away some of the I guess commentary on nuclearness, and they injected Raymond Burr in there somehow as a character.
So
named
that's
Steve
not
Martin.
what we're not watching that one.
We're not watching that one.
The original.
Watching the original.
Okay, cool.
Send me the right spelling so I can make sure I'm watching things via text. All right, friends, we're going to wrap up this episode. We'll see you next time when we take it back to 1954 and monsters.
Monsters.
Excelsior. That's TV.
Nope.
Welcome to Nerd School, where history meets the nerd cool. Artstar, TBJ, Joe and Andy, we're the ones to rule. Teaching you about comic books, superheroes, and Star Wars. Bringing knowledge and fun, breaking down those nerdish doors. Nerd School, history for nerds. Taking you on a journey through the nerdverse. From Marvel to DC, our lessons never cease. Get ready to geek out, join us in release. Join us in release. We're the kings of trivia, the masters of geeky lore. Our podcast, the place where nerds and jerks explore. Discussing heroes with powers, villains with sinister plots. Diving in galaxies, exploring all the geeky spots.
Excelsior.